Hey guys, it's Rodney again. Hey, as we continue on with the last few topics from our Sunday morning series that we weren't able to finish, this week's topic is loving others. I can't think of a more apt or appropriate topic to talk about than loving others. With all that's been going on, it's such a difficult one, or one that's a lot of us have been kind of struggling with during this time because of all that's been going on, and we'll get into that in a second. But first of all, just the idea of loving others. In John 13:34, Jesus says, "And now I give you a new commandment: love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another." And again, when Jesus was asked what the greatest commandment is, the first one he said was to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. But the second he said then was to love your neighbor as yourself. And when we think about loving others as we love ourselves, that's not an easy thing to do. It's super easy to love ourselves. It's super easy to be caught up in, what do I want? What do I feel I need? You fill in that blank. We're always kind of focused on ourselves. We're always looking out for number one. We're looking out for ourselves. And it's super easy to get caught up in doing just that and only that. But God's saying in these passages, He's telling us that we need to look out for other people. We need to love one another. Again, in that John chapter 13, verse 34 passage that says, as I have loved you, love one another. That's a real convicting one, and one that we should think about even more in depth when we think about how Jesus has loved us. How are we to love others in that same way? Well, Jesus saw us in our desperation. He saw us in our brokenness, right? And He saw us. He didn't just leave us. So that's kind of the first thing that you can think about in how to love others. Be on the lookout. Be observant. See other people in their hurt, in their brokenness, in their pain. And so that's the first thing, just to be observant. Because you can't go anywhere if you're not in the first place at least seeing them. So be on the lookout. The second thing then that I would say would be to look, after you see them, figure out what their needs are. We can look back at the story of the Good Samaritan, right? He was not focused on himself, but he was focused on the needs of others. He saw the man that had been beaten up, and he said he saw him first of all, and then he thought, what are this guy's needs? He went over and checked the guy out. Said, man, he really needs somebody to take care of him. So he brought him to a nearby inn and paid for the innkeeper there to fix him up and get him back to proper health. And so that's the second thing is, first of all, we need to be observant. Secondly, we need to figure out what the needs are of other people so that we can try to help meet those needs. And I would say lastly then would just be to pray. We see a lot of hurt, we see a lot of brokenness, and not all the time we can't always do something about it. As often or as much as we would love to do something about it every time, that's just not always feasible. One thing that we can do every time is pray. We can pray for God to intervene in different situations. We can pray for God to heal brokenness, to redeem and restore relationships. We can pray for these things. So with everything that's going on with the coronavirus, with all the things that are going on with the racial divide that seems to be happening right now in our nation, there's so much questions about how do we love people during this time. And those are tough questions that I don't think I have the exact right answers to give you. I wish I did. But I think those are questions that you need to bring to the Lord. Again, that third thing is pray. Ask God through His Holy Spirit to guide you to loving others. Ask God to show you through His Holy Spirit, again, the best way to navigate those waters of uncertainty in coming close to people in their hurt and in their pain. Do we wear masks? Do we not wear masks? If it's something that can show love to somebody else, then we do the thing that makes us slightly uncomfortable or slightly inconvenienced to show love to others. Do we go downtown to a peaceful protest, or do we not? These are tough questions. You guys are growing up in a time that you will never forget. This is something that I've certainly never been a part of in my years of life to this point. But this is something that I'll never forget. It's something that you'll never forget, and something that you might never have to navigate through again. So these are crazy times, but I'm praying that you would continue to lean on the Lord, continue to lean on the Holy Spirit's power in your life to lead and guide you toward loving others the best way possible. Thanks, guys.